Hello. These are the optical tubes I've been using primarily over the last year or so. I started with my Celestron short tube 80, then went to my Skyoptikst short tube 90, and then my heavy SV Bony 80 ED, then my really heavy Celestron C6 with Hyperstar, and for close work, my SE6, which now has a broken corrector plate. I went to photograph Saturn the other night with it and found it was broken. It's going to cost a lot of money to get that fixed. And I just bought 2 smart telescopes and a 4-inch refractor, which haven't been delivered. They're on a slow boat from China. I'm scared of breaking this other C6 until I get a replacement, because I need a backup. This is too heavy. This doesn't have a 2-inch focuser. And what that leaves me is my Skyoptikst. Now I do have a 102 millimeter 4-inch Skyoptikst, just like this, the big brother, on the way. This is light. It's actually lighter than my short tube 70 here. I used to use this a lot, photographing primarily open star clusters. I found in my shorts section that if I did an open star cluster, I'd have 1,500 to 2,000 views in 24 hours. If I spent a whole ton of time, you got a really beautiful nebula or something, 300 or 400. So I did a lot of star clusters, well over 200. Eventually, folks I guess they got tired looking at star clusters. And then eventually got tired looking at shorts. I haven't used this for much of anything except star clusters. And as I've got a 4-inch version coming, I thought, maybe I should make sure I still know how to use this. And I've taken a lot of photos since I quit using this, so I'm thinking maybe my photographic skills have improved some. I'll find out. So I went looking for things to photograph. I got 12 of them here. Most of them I've never photographed before with this optical tube. Starting here at the beginning, we have Messier 33 Triangulum. I've taken 30 or so photographs of this galaxy, none with this optical tube, and they always came out white or white with yellow. Finally, about a week ago, I took another photograph, 3 hours worth of subs, and it was white with yellow. Didn't look a whole lot different from the one I took for 1 hour. I went to post it, and some other guy had posted one. His looked beautiful and had that same violet bluish color that most of the photographs of Messier 33 have. Why am I all white? Well, I decided to give this one a shot, and as you can see, came out a beautiful violet blue. I didn't modify this. This is the way it came straight out of the camera with this dime store telescope. Encouraged, I thought, well, let's try another galaxy. I looked around for one I could photograph that I haven't photographed with this, and I came across the Sculpture Galaxy. I had never photographed it before. In fact, I don't think I've ever even seen it before. It had a high magnitude, kind of faint. I wasn't sure this optical tube could pick it up. Well, let's give it a shot. Aimed over there, first 15-second exposure came out. Oh wow, there's a galaxy, and it's big. So I photographed for the first time, the Sculpture Galaxy, which I think came out pretty well. Now it wasn't faced like this, it was faced like this, but just enough of an angle. If you look carefully, you can see some kind of details on the top. I then thought, well, I'm encouraged. Let's go for Messier 45, the Pleiades, my favorite star cluster. I've always had a lot of problems getting nebulosity out of the stars. Plus, you have to have a pretty short focal length, or a camera with a really big sensor to get the whole cluster. This has a short focal length. It's a short tube, 90. And I got the whole nebula, and lo and behold, there was lots of nebula. In fact, I got more nebulosity with this photograph than I've ever gotten before. I was really concerned about that because I have a SV Bony 231 light correction filter in this. It's designed to filter out the color purple, the exact color purple that you get from chromatic aberration. That's why in all but one of my photographs I've taken with my refractors, you don't see chromatic aberration. That filter filters it all out. It didn't filter out the nebulosity, the blue wispy nebulosity of Messier 45. In fact, I'm going to put that in my best photos of the month's pile. Then I did Messier 27. Now I've done Messier 27, I'm sure I've done that before with this tube, because I've done it with every tube I have, with every tube I've ever had. I've even done it with my 70 millimeter travel scope, and my 70 millimeter Astromaster. Any telescope will do a pretty good job on M27 dumbbell nebula. I'm pretty sure you can see it through binoculars. It's kind of bright, and it's out for a long time every year. But it was there, I was there. Well, maybe let's try it. Took a photo of it, came out nice. Now, I did not have a dual band filter in this thing, and if you're going to be photographing emission nebula, you really need a dual band filter. I thought, well, let's give Fishhead Nebula a shot. It's pretty bright, and sure enough, it came out okay, even though I didn't have a dual band filter in. The Fishhead part of the Fishhead Nebula looks real nice. The Fishhead Nebula connects to the Soul Nebula, or the Soul Nebula? No, it connects to the Heart Nebula. In any event, that part was too faint for it to pick up. But I was happy with it. Still looking, I stumbled across the Helix Nebula. I thought, the Helix Nebula's got 2 degrees left before it gets over the college. It gets blinded by the college light. I wonder if I could get a picture in 2 degrees of the Helix Nebula. I took one not too long ago with my C6 and Hyperstar and a Antlia quad band filter. It came out real nice. This one came out almost as nice with just a color correction filter. I like it. You might like it. And it's only about 30 minutes worth of exposures. Now I did do a couple open clusters. One is the double cluster. The double cluster is whenever I go to take pictures at night, first thing I do is I do a 1-star alignment. I need to align on 3 things to get accurate. But my software picks the 3 things, and they're usually below the tree line. So I do a 1-star alignment, then I pick 2 things off the list. First thing I always pick is the double cluster. And that's because it's visible right there just about year-round. In fact, year-round. And I always, since I go to the front of the first star, do my star alignment, focus, then go to double cluster, and take a 10-minute set of exposures. I live stack for 10 minutes and check my FWHM, how sharp my stars are, to make sure I'm focused well. So I've got several hundred photographs of double cluster. Everything I take a 10-minute live stack with everything. So I'm sure I've got a couple dozen, but I was there, it was there, I needed to do it, so I did it. Didn't come out bad. The Skull Nebula, this focal length is really too short to get a good view of the Skull Nebula. In fact, I've made a note of that. I need to use my Mac, that little black Mac. It's got a long focal length, so the Skull Nebula will be real big. But I was there, it was there, so I went ahead and took a photograph of the Skull Nebula. Came out okay, except it's kind of small. Elephant Trunk Nebula. Elephant Trunk Nebula is always hard. It's directly over the oil refinery and over downtown. So I get tons of sky glow and tons of noise from the pollution of the hydrocarbons pumping out of those smokestacks. I frequently can't get any nebulosity at all. I was able to get a little bit of nebulosity with this, with a half hour worth of subs. It's faint, can't tell much. I guess you're right, you'll see a little black oval, half of an oval, kind of like an elephant trunk. That's a dark nebula. There's an emission nebula, red, and then there's a dark nebula in front of it. That is the elephant nebula, elephant trunk. I needed some more, so I went to IC 5076. I've never heard of that before, but it was in Stellaris, so I thought, what the heck? And it's about a degree from being, it's setting in the west. We got about 1 degree left before it goes behind the tree line now. Let's give it a shot. Very small nebula, very faint, and it's illuminated by V2140 Cygni. It's a bright star, and there's a little bit of gas in front of it, and it's illuminating it. I don't even know if the nebula will show up on YouTube. I can see it when I look at the picture. Little small nebula in the center of the photograph. You'll also notice in that photograph gobs and gobs of stars. And that's because when we look at that nebula, we're looking toward the center of the galaxy. There's gobs of stars between here and the center of the galaxy. Next we have M15. M15, Messier 15, is a globular cluster. I've noticed whenever I've taken photographs of globular clusters, they don't come out nearly as popular as open clusters. I think they're the prettiest kind of cluster, but apparently not everyone thinks that. This particular one, I've never taken with this optical tube because I haven't, it was below the horizon before I quit using this optical tube. I think it's a pretty cluster. Those of you, if there are any, who are big fans of globular clusters, say so in the comment section. And if you're not a big fan, then don't say so. Now the last one I have here is M34, another open cluster. And that's the 12 photographs I've done. I'll show them here in a minute, but I wanna say beforehand that if you haven't subscribed, I would really appreciate a subscription. If you have subscribed, thanks. I wouldn't mind it if you gave me a thumbs up and if you shared the video with one of your friends. And if you have any comments, particularly about the quality of photos you can take with a little cheap dime store telescope, put them in the comment section below. And until I see you again, happy trails.